Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Janex.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Rufai. How are you both this morning?
Oji, you're looking great.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, a gathering of first ladies and presidents joined other political figures to pay tribute to Rosalynn Carter, who was remembered on Tuesday as a former first lady who leveraged her fierce intellect and political power to put her deep Christian faith into action by always helping others, especially those who needed it most. Rosalynn Carter died on November 19 at the age of 96 in Georgia. Her 99-year-old husband, former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, was present at the memorial service. She will be laid to rest today, Wednesday, November 30th, in her hometown. In Italy, the Vatican announced on Tuesday that Pope Francis's trip to Dubai for COP28 has been cancelled due to ill health. The Pope has been receiving antibiotics intravenously to treat lung inflammation. The pontiff, who has been an outspoken advocate for climate action, was expected to be the first pope to attend a COP. He had been scheduled to visit the United Arab Emirates to address the summit and meet world leaders before inaugurating the first faith pavilion at the COP. In India, there was jubilation across the country on Tuesday as rescuers pulled out all 41 workers trapped for 17 days inside a collapsed tunnel in the Himalayas after drilling through the debris of rock, concrete, and earth to reach them. The evacuation of the workers began more than 6 hours after rescuers broke through the debris in the tunnel, which caved in on November 12th. Finally, Hamas and Israel released more hostages and prisoners under terms of a fragile ceasefire that held for a 5th day on Tuesday as international mediators in Qatar worked to extend the truce. So far, 81 Israeli hostages have been freed from Gaza, while 180 Palestinian women and teenagers have been freed from Israeli prisons during the truce. Most have been teenagers accused of throwing stones and firebombs during confrontations with Israeli forces, while several released women were convicted by Israeli military courts of attempting to carry out deadly attacks. The prisoners are widely seen by Palestinians as heroes resisting occupation. Well, let's begin what's trending, following up on the visit by His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, Oba Ewuare II, last week in Lagos, where he met with the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and congratulated him on his re-election. Well, the Oba's visit elicited several reactions, especially after he stated that Lagos was founded by the Benins, while the Balogun of Eko, Abisoye Oshodi, in a video now making the rounds on social media, disagreed with the Oba, stating that the Oba's ancestors only settled on a small land that was called Eko before the creation of Lagos and forcefully imposed a tax system on the traders that were on the land. He further stressed that the Benins never founded Lagos. Well, let's take a quick listen before we come back for a discussion.
With all due respect to the Oba of Benin, Oba Ewuare II, sir, may you live long. Point of correction, sir. Lagos was never founded by the Benin. Lagos was never founded by the Benin. I'm glad that you said some part of Lagos, not all or the entire Lagos. Yes, you are right. Your ancestors settled on a small island that was called Eko then, before the creation of Lagos. And on this very island, they never created it. The island has been there before the arrival of your ancestors. Your ancestors only came and forcefully imposed a taxation system on transit with the traders on the land called Igoron, Igoron, wherever that means in Benin, I do not know. But there has been other tribes on the island before the creation of Lagos, even before the creation of Eko. We have the Aworis, we have the Isheri, we have the Olofin. So many tribes has been on Lagos, or the modern Lagos now, before the creation of Lagos State. If you want to allude to the assertion of the Oba of Lagos, Oba Ewuare II, that said that his ancestors was traced to the Benin, yes, the man was right. If you want to talk about the Ashipas, the Ologukuteres, the Ados, the Erelukuti, they are limited to Isaleko, not Lagos in general. So a lot of people that are saying Lagos is no man's land, somebody created Lagos. No, Lagos has been, that island has been in existence before the creation of Eko and even the creation of Lagos State.
Well, Dr. Abati Rufai, it appears that Mr. Oshodi here is alluding to the fact that, Lagos was founded by a cocktail of settlers. I mean, it has elicited a lot of reactions. Let me take this reaction that I got recently. This person wrote, the dates and periods he quoted are all long after the expansionist period of the Benin Empire, when Eko or camp was created and a superintendent left there by Benin Army. This was during the expansion of the empire to far away Dahomey and beyond. The emotional display of this speaker does not address the history of the settlement correctly. For his information, the word Idu refers to the ancestral spirit of the Benin royalty. Well, I also found a French magazine recently. I mean, you know that history was taken away for a while, and a lot of people, have some sort of misconception about the Empire of Benin. This is a French magazine, Nofi Media, and, they talked about, around the 10th century AD, a state known as the Kingdom of Benin was founded by the Edo in the southwest of present-day Nigeria, famous for its bronze plaques and portraits. It will pass between the middle of the 15th century and the 16th century from the status of a small state to that of an empire, one of the most powerful and prestigious in the history of pre-colonial Africa. I mean, there they pulled up a map of the Benin Kingdom showing where it is. Well, according to tradition, Benin was ruled by two dynasties. This is the second of them, which is showing Lagos. The dynasty traditionally presented as being of Yoruba origin, that of the Oba. The Oba dynasty of Benin would have emerged around the 13th century, shortly before a local leader, Evian, would have tried to found a new dynasty. However, the Edo kingmakers opposed it. In search of a new legitimate dynasty, they turned to Oduduwa. This was one of the Oni sovereign of the holy Yoruba city of Ife or Ile-Ife in present-day Nigeria. They asked him to send one of his sons to rule the country. I mean, you do see that map, and this was from Nofi Media back in 2014. Dr. Abati.
Well, number one, look, I'm a very busy and serious-minded person. I don't want to be responding to armchair historians.
Armchair historians, you call them.
The gentleman that spoke, maybe his bona fide is that he's Balogun Oshodi. What is the source of his history? Is it oral tradition, or is it based on emotional conception of the story? This is an old argument, and many historians have written on this. Philip Igbafe, professor of the Ibadan School of History, was one of the leading writers on Benin history and the interconnection of Benin history with other communities, including his book on Obaseki of Benin, Benin under colonial rule, British imperial rule, and all of that. And then you have the present Oba of Benin, Ewuare II, commissioning a more comprehensive book by contemporary historians from Benin, The Benin Monarchy, an anthology. That book is called. I was to review the book at the time they were going to present it publicly, but one thing happened or the other. I couldn't go to Benin. In other words, there are also people from Lagos who are professional historians who have written books on this subject. So, I mean, maybe what we really need is to leave the conversation to the academics. Otherwise, there will be no end to it. Lagos is no man's land. Lagos belongs to people of Isaleko. Lagos belongs to indigenous people. Half of the people commenting on WhatsApp and television, they are ignorant, and many of them are not even from Lagos. And from the testimony given by this fellow, he says even his own ancestors came from Nupe to settle down in Oshodi and, played major roles in the history of Lagos. He even said the Tinubu family came from Borno State. Okay? But so Lagos State is a melting pot. It's a melding pot of many cultures, civilizations, and all of that. After all, in this same Lagos today, there are people who are not contesting Isaleko with anybody. Okay? But there are Egbas here.
Yes.
There is a place called Abule Egba.
Yes.
And the Egba people, you can't go there and say you are an indigenous person. They say, no, this is for Egba people.
Yes.
And that, in fact, we were also major people in central Lagos. There are people here who are descendants of Brazilians.
Yes.
There are people here who are descendants of the Portuguese. Okay? Shomolu, there is a place called Shomolu in this Lagos. It's Ijebu people.
In fact, we have Odogbolu Street in Shomolu.
No, Ijebu man. We agree with you if you say this place. So Lagos has grown over the centuries as a melting pot of civilizations, of cultures, and that is what makes Lagos special. So all this battle about indigenship and all that, I think we've gone beyond that. We should be focusing on how we can make Lagos a livable, prosperous place for all of us.
Yes.
Whether you are from Benin, or you are from Egbaland, or you are the Ijebu people in Shomolu, or you are from wherever, So that, I think, is what is important. How can the blue rail line work? How can the red rail line work? How can people be happy living in Lagos? How can Lagos State live up to its classification as the 5th largest economy in Africa?
Well, Dr.
So all this ethnic baiting, right, and all of that, and we are the owners of Lagos, and we are Ologun Kutere, and we are Oshodi Tapa, and all that. It sounds...
well, Dr. But I'll have to say, I think history is very important. I don't think that we should disregard the conversation.
I'm talking about history being important.
Yes.
In fact, the justification for that is
Right.
that, history was removed from the curriculum.
That's what I said earlier.
I think they should begin to teach history.
Well, I think that they have.
So that people don't do armchair commentary.
Right. Like I was saying, I think it is so important because if you don't know where you are coming from, you wouldn't know where you're going. Yeah. So I think this conversation, even though it's quite sensitive, I think it is important for Nigerians to understand their history and know where they are coming from. I think that this is not the first time that we're hearing this, and it will not be the last time that we'll hear about it. Well, all right. We'll take another story. Following up on the detention of the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, who has been remanded in Kuje Correctional Facility in Abuja till next year after he failed to meet his bail conditions on Tuesday. The former CBN boss was on November 18th arraigned on a 6-count charge bordering on procurement fraud. He was accused of using his position to confer a corrupt advantage on Sa'adatu Yaro, a staff of the CBN, by awarding a contract for the procurement of 43 vehicles worth 1.2 billion naira between 2018 and 2020. He was also alleged to have awarded Yaro a contract for the procurement of 2 Toyota Landcruisers worth 138 million naira. Emefiele pled not guilty to the amended charge and was later granted bail in the sum of 300 million naira and is yet to meet the bail conditions. Rufai, obviously, this was yesterday. It appears that Emefiele is going to spend Christmas and New Year in detention. Let me take some reactions before I come to you. This is from Chuma, who wrote, "Life is really about ups and downs. 1 minute, Godwin Emefiele is seen as the most powerful man in Nigeria after the president, and the next moment, he's going to be treated like a common criminal. tough to digest. All these are happening in the same year. But I hope we can all learn. Well, Chidi wrote, I wish Nigerian politicians would learn from Emefiele. Today, he can't even get who would stand for him or bail him despite his affluence and influence under Buhari. This is more reason Nigerian leaders must tread with caution and understand that power is transient. Well, Temitope wrote, Godwin Emefiele couldn't meet his bail condition of 300 million naira, not because he doesn't have the money or know any surety in the like sum. Emefiele is presently like an ant-infested firewood. Nobody wants to associate with him. These are a lot of comments emanating from this story.
So that's not all the analysis is false, and it's not a true analysis of the
That is the comments.
All the comments.
The tweets.
Yeah, all the tweets.
All of them.
All of them are false in their representation. We had one of the lawyers representing him come here on air. The judge granted bail. But we know the Nigerian state breaks its own laws. We all remember the case in the court here in Lagos, where Emefiele was granted bail, and the DSS rearrested him in the court and dragged him with the prison officials. The lawyer talked about certain pictures, and I've gone to verify, and I saw those pictures, that EFCC officials are stationed in front of Kuje prison. And there's a fear that they might rearrest him, breaking the law again at variance with the judge's ruling of granting him bail. So the lawyer was saying on air here that the best advice is Emefiele should not perfect the bail, because what's the essence of perfecting the bail and going out and then rearresting him again? In fact, there's a story making the rounds that the National Assembly is looking at also the case of, the rearrest after a court has granted a man bail. So, as it were, that situation of things as regards granting the bail is not, as reported that, you cannot meet the bail terms. And we have seen this happen all too many times, where the court grants somebody bail, but the security officers and the authorities feel more powerful than the court in Nigeria. So what kind of democracy are we even practicing, as far as I'm concerned? It's a clear form of dictatorship. If the security officers can't even respect the court, just like it happened in Lagos here. So when you're having pictures of EFCC of you already stationed in front of Kuje, then you have another scuffle or another show of shame. That's what's happening here. And we are not saying this only for Emefiele. We are saying it for all of us. The right of every Nigerian has to be respected.
Absolutely.
Because what it means tomorrow is that a court can grant anybody bail in a case, and the security officers can feel, I'm not done with you yet, and rearrest you. That's the kind of country we have built. And it's not a democracy again.
Absolutely. All right, then. We'll take another story then. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, on Tuesday disclosed that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu inherited 6 trillion naira as debt on ongoing road projects from the previous administration. Well, in a statement from the Ministry of Works, Umahi revealed that Tinubu is concerned about the state of roads nationwide and as such has approved the sum of 300 billion naira for the Ministry of Works, comprising 100 billion naira for immediate palliative works in 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, and an additional 200 billion naira for the continuation of inherited ongoing projects. In addition, the president directed that works on the palliative projects must commence before December 1st, 2023. Dr. Bati, you did see those roads. I mean, it is refreshing to hear that that amount of money has been allocated to the roads at this point. But before you comment, I'd like to take my final story here. In the meantime, the governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, visited the people of Olumbanasa in Anambra West last week, with promises to bring development to their community, which has an untouched landscape. It was the first time any governor from the state will embark on such a visit to the community. But the governor and his entourage mounted motorcycles through bush paths to get to the community after a long boat ride.
Convoy in Olumbanasa. Governor's convoy in Olumbanasa. No. The first time a single governor is coming here. A village in Orumba, Nasa, Anambra West. Welcome.
Well, that's Soludo there. He received a resounding welcome from that community. Well, I hope the community well. Dr. Abati, really quickly.
Well, let me deal with the first story. Engineer Umahi,
yes,
Minister of Works. He's been one of those outspoken ministers in the Tinubu cabinet. And he says he inherited 6 trillion debt on ongoing projects across the country. And he mentioned some of those roads. Lagos West Road, Nsukka Enugu Expressway, Lagos Abeokuta Expressway, some of the bridges that have been done on the that have not been done on the Enugu Port Harcourt Road. So this is a point we always make, and it's the point with which we started this program this morning, that the Tinubu government wants to go and borrow 7 trillion that we're told was put in the 2022-2024 external borrowing plan by the Buhari administration. And that was passed by FEC on May 13. So they left more debt, expectation for this administration. The question is, why is there a gap between all these borrowings for these routes and development outcomes? What happened to that 6 trillion naira debt? Why are those roads, why have they been there?
That's the
that
question.
Lagos Abeokuta Expressway, the old road, it's been there since the days of Obasanjo's presidency. Nobody has worked on it. So Engineer Umahi now says they've been given 300 billion naira approved by President Tinubu to do palliative work. We heard about palliative work before. There was a time somebody said they were going to fix roads all over the country within 6 weeks. Nobody fixed anything. And money was assigned to that. So there must be an audit. Another thing that he pointed out is about people misrepresenting him when he says cement will be used. That is not true. Asphalt will still be used. Who is misrepresenting him? Okay? He says those who are misinforming people are the ones who don't mean well for this country. The people who don't mean well for this country are the people who have to account for our 6 trillion naira. Finally, he says variation on road contracts going forward will not be more than 5%. In fact, if it is possible, there should be no variation at all. What the government should insist upon is that if you have been given a project, finish it within the timeline. That will be important because variation, that's an opportunity to steal.
Corruption.
Finally, on the issue of Soludo riding Okada. Yes, it's good for privileged people to see what poor people also go through. But Governor Soludo should not get too carried away. Okada, sometimes you can break your leg and you end up in an orthopedic hospital. So, and that should show him the reason why he has to fix it. And then former governors of Anambra who claim they did much, I hope they too will go on that road and ride their Okada and probably have a broken arm in the process.
Dr. Abati and broken arm. Well, I'd like to thank you both as always for your great analysis on what's trending. Well, that's all I have for you on what's trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.